Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Christmas come and gone, and now you're enjoying the weekend while looking forward to 2016. Jamaica Magazine is here to keep you focused on being the best you. On the show today, if you've got talent, whether you're a performing or visual artist, then your services may just be what the tourism sector needs.
Some visitors came from the United States and stayed at Half Moon. And having gone back to the United States, I'd actually contacted the hotel, and through the hotel made contact with the local manufacturers who are now telling us now, because they want production, because they will look at the price, the quantity, the quality. Those are the opportunities that we're opening up.
And let's continue to exercise caution on the roads. I'm Theodore Henry. Stay with us. The show begins now.
Feliz Navidad. Prospero año y feliz.
This is going to be a hairy Christmas. Breadfruit roasting on an open fire.
Mongrel dogs nipping at your toes.
Them know us a joyride, they're on the way.
When Gungu cook and sorry flow.
And all the chicken them, I try to spy. I see which one of them we going to fry.
And so we want to big up everyone, from kids, from 1 to 92.
Test 1, 2, 3, cockroach kill ants and ants kill cockroach back.
What?
Alright, let's go again.
Are you ready?
Okay, rolling.
I want to use this opportunity to say to everybody who will use me, why am I fluffing? Come, get it right. Come.
Hey, the people are ready. Come.
Somebody hug them too.
On behalf of the JS family and friends, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Rolling.
Drink up the sorry.
We hope this season will be filled with joy for you, your friends, and your family.
Everybody.
Well, this is part of how we do it before the actual production here at the GIS. I know many of us are going to turn we hand and make fashion for this Christmas, but whatever that fashion is and how we decide to turn it, let us use the time to extend the love and joy and peace and the whole happy mood to someone else who is really in need of that kind of affection. On behalf of all of us here at the GIS, I want to say Happy Christmas or Merry Christmas, however you want to receive it.
They're on the way. With music rocking through the day.
We're now in the winter tourist season, which started on December 15. Last week, Tourism Minister Dr. Wickham McNeil spent some time with us talking about the sector's achievements. He is back on today's show, providing important information on how we can all earn from this industry. Watch this.
Thanks for your company on Issues and Answers. I'm Ian Boyne. We're looking again at the tourism sector, an important sector in the economy and one that has been bringing in a lot of fruits, yielding a lot of results. The Minister of Tourism and Entertainment, the Honorable Wickham McNeil, is back with us. We thank you for your company. Minister, good to be back with you again. This important area of the linkages to tourism. So yes, the investments are booming, but this should mean more opportunities for our own manufacturing sector, more opportunities for us to retain more of the tourism dollar. How has the ministry been tackling that?
Well, let me just say to you that I fully agree with what you just said. You know, we have had other booms in tourism before. We certainly had one in the last decade when the Spanish hotels came.
Yes.
But if a criticism could be made, or would be made, is that we may not have benefited as much from it as we could have. We had tremendous benefits. I mean, when I move across the sector, I meet people in the hotels, they're working. There's a lot of benefits, but it could have been more. And one of the things that we have focused on at the ministry is to see how we can maximize those benefits. And we've set up in the ministry what we call the Linkages Hub. It is a unit there which job is to maximize the impact of tourism on the economy. So
that has been done under your tenure?
That was done under my tenure. It started approximately a year after I was in office. It took some time to build it up. It's a fully operational unit now, tremendously successful. It's chaired by Donovan Perkins. It has
private sector.
Private sector, yes. Persons from the private sector. It has persons from the GHTA, agriculture, manufacturing. And what they do is they look at how they can deepen the linkages between tourism and all the other sectors. And we started with things like the tourism farmers markets in the different resort areas. We went to what we call the speed networking, which was like a speed dating. And what we did was we got senior people in the tourism industry to come, and we set up, the first one was at the Half Moon, and we put all of them there, and we had the businesses, Jamaican businesses that wanted to do business with them, subscribed. And what would happen, they'd spend 15 minutes, explain what they had, what their companies were doing, meet with senior people, and then you move on to the next one. And it went around. Well, it was sold off. I mean, it was so successful because people want to get to showcase what they had, that we did a second one in Kingston, and they've been real successful. We've done the Christmas in July, where we have gotten a lot of these small businesses, and we call it Christmas in July because what we wanted to do was for the hotels and other industries to use locally manufactured goods and sell, so that, and set up the catalogs and different things to be sold not just in the tourism sector but across, and especially at Christmas time. In terms of agriculture, where there's a tremendous potential, we have had a close working relationship with the Ministry of Agriculture, both with the former Minister Roger Clark and with Minister Derek Kelly. But we have met with the members of the sector. About 6 months ago, we met with a group of the bigger agriculturalists in Mandeville to really put it out there, because what we want to do is, as much as possible, produce all the things that are consumed
in the hotels,
in the not just hotels, attractions across the industry, and the economies of scale are now there. And so what you're doing is you're creating a market. This is like an export market, because they're in and out, creating that market, and we have the capacity to produce the quantities at the quality and the proper price. But the economies of scale have to trip in. So it's a process where we're working, and where technical assistance is needed, we do it. We are doing all the demand studies, the different things at the hub now. And we're trying to see how we can assist where needs are for financing and for development, because there are areas where we're not now addressing where there are opportunities.
Will the Commerce Minister want to explore the matter of whether in fact the hotels are taking up these offers? We're looking at the tourism sector, a very important sector, but its value is increased by the linkages. We take a break, but we'll be right back.
Our land has been suffering from immorality.
This is Ibo Cooper of Third World, lecturer at Edna Manley College, chairman of Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, saying to Jamaica, whether young or old, look around you and see what you have right throughout the year. I have now filled out 9 passports with traveling, and I've been to every corner of the earth, and there are people who would want what we have. They beg me to come to Jamaica, because right now in the Middle East is war. Right now in the north is ice. We have a beautiful place. Please preserve it. love one another. Like what my granny did tell me for love people. The lady who don't have nothing to eat, a shut in, make sure she alright. The people them who can walk like me and you, make sure them alright. I see a youth the other day try to rob a blind man. My youth, what you do? We couldn't do them thing there. Help the blind. Help the pregnant lady. Love, you can't beat it.
A tourism focus on issues and answers. The Minister of Tourism and Entertainment, the Honorable Wickham McNeil, is here with us. Are the hotels buying more things? Do we have the indication that in fact more produce, more services from Jamaica are being consumed in the hotels, in the tourism industry?
Oh, absolutely. As I said before, the Linkages Hub has done tremendous work. Anecdotally, I'll tell you something interesting. One of the areas that have bedding
Yes.
has been on the table, and the sector uses a lot of beds, accommodation sector.
Course. Yes.
And in the early days, there were real difficulties because they would import.
Yes.
And, you know, there were always a question, could we produce the quantity in the time?
And also the price competitiveness.
And the price competitiveness. So, 2-3 years ago, more and more this barrier has been broken down. And there's no doubt that we are. And there was one particular project at one of the hotels in which they used local beds. And on time, they delivered on time. The quality was superb. The price was very competitive. And once we started to break that barrier, it more and more the sector realized that this is an area where we're very competitive. There's one property, Half Moon, which is supplied by local manufacturers. So they've done it, and I mean, first class quality product.
Yes.
And so some visitors came from the United States and stayed at Half Moon. And having gone back to the United States, had actually contacted the hotel, and through the hotel made contact with the local manufacturers who are now telling us now, because they want production, because they will look at the price, the quantity, the quality. Those are the opportunities that we're opening up. Once you go into a sector like the tourism sector, we're competitive not just amongst ourselves here. This is a world-class competitive industry. So when you are able to satisfy all the necessary requirements for this sector, you can do it for all. And it opens up the entire Caribbean.
Absolutely.
It opens up all the other areas. So the opportunities are there, and what you see happening now is a relationship between the manufacturing industry and the tourism industry that has never been better. And a lot of it is because of the relationship that is now developing, because of just information and because of the opportunities that are rising.
What's happening in the attractions subsector, Minister?
Oh, well, you know, Jamaica, when you look across, certainly the English-speaking Caribbean, I think we're unparalleled in what we offer as attractions. And almost every year, you see either new attractions or expansion of existing attractions with new offerings. And quite frankly, it is another area. It can almost be looked at almost as another linkage, because what you really want to achieve is for your visitors when they come here to spend as much as possible, and for you to keep that money in Jamaica. Here. That is your key. So it is a real positive. And one of the things that has happened that's really good for the industry is the fact that under the new omnibus, under the new fiscal incentives regime, attractions are specifically included. So before, if you were doing an attraction and you required incentives, you went and asked for a waiver, duty waivers. It had to go to the ministers of Tourism and to the Ministry of Finance.
No,
No
you
longer a requirement. So these are where you take those impediments out, you take the discretion out.
Yes.
Once you are able to pass a sort
That's
of
So it's a
proper
transparent,
requirements.
rules-based system.
Absolutely. And that is what investors like.
Yes, yes,
They
yes.
come in, what do I need to do?
You do it, yes.
And you get it done.
No man
And
getting any favorite position because him no minister and that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And that is how we want this country to develop. That's where we're going. I think people have not recognized the impact that some of the changes that have taken place over the last few years will have on Jamaica going forward in the future, because our system is more of a first world system. Yes. We're moving, the right things are being done in terms of the economic reform program.
Thank you very much, Minister. We have enjoyed our 2 weeks with you. Certainly, there's been a lot of information which has been given. Minister of Tourism and Entertainment, Honorable Wickham McNeil, spending time with us on Issues and Answers. Next week I'll be back. Until then, Ian Boyne wishing you a pleasant day.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito. A message from the Ministry of Health.
One New Year's resolution for every Jamaican should be to keep this land of wood and water clean. Improper garbage disposal is already posing an environmental problem. Let's endeavor to be anti-litterbug agents in 2016. Take a look at this next feature.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica.
Jamaican people, really? You know, we can do better. The beaches, Jamaica is known for its beautiful beaches. And if we continue to litter it and stuff like that, then nobody will want to come here.
When we have blockage of drains and all that, we blame the government. And yet we are the ones who facilitate that.
The amount of garbage littered on Jamaica's streets is astounding, if not embarrassing. The government is paying out millions of dollars annually just to get rid of garbage. The Tourism Ministry alone is spending more than $560 million this fiscal year on cleanup programs. Through the Tourism Enhancement Fund, $60 million is being provided to the Jamaica Environment Trust to implement a Clean Coast project. Meanwhile, an agreement valued at $260 million was recently signed with the National Solid Waste Management Authority to execute an all-island maintenance beautification project.
We have a $140 million program to do the North Coast Highway and over another $100 million that we are using for the cleanup of the rest of the island.
Money that could be spent on other critical areas such as education and health.
It does not negate the responsibility that each and every Jamaican has to clean their environment. It's a way of living. It's something that has to be inculcated in your home when you're growing up.
Bits of paper, lying on the floor, lying on the floor. Make the place untidy, make the place untidy, pick them up.
That's why it's always good to see a lot of children here, because it's really important for them, as well as us adults, that we can lead by example and actually show them that we care about our environment and it's important to keep our environment clean as well.
Recently, during International Coastal Cleanup Day 2015, it was made evident that Jamaicans are not properly disposing of their garbage. Preliminary estimates show that thousands of pounds of garbage were collected off the nation's coastline during that one-day cleanup exercise.
Well, the first objective really is to get people to understand that when you throw waste at the side of the road in Kingston or in a gully, that this is where it ends up. Ends up on the coastline, it ends up in rivers, ends up in the sea, where it is often washed back onto the land by storms and so forth.
What is a bit disconcerting for me is the fact that every year we come and having cleaned up so much garbage, picked up so much garbage in one prescribed area, you come back and find actually more garbage.
In September each year, the Jamaica Environment Trust organizes the beach cleanup, which is regarded as an environmental education and advocacy activity. Documentation is made of the type of debris collected, and this data is used to help formulate future cleanup campaigns.
The fact that people are just throwing and littering in the community, in this area, but the fact that in the communities around Jamaica, that litter is being thrown into the gullies and the drains. It's washing down, in this case, washing down like the Hope River, and then washing up on our beaches.
Today we went straight down this whole stretch with, I think, about 20 girls, and we found buckets, bottles, condoms, syringes, hair rollers. Mostly, the most abundant thing that we found was the plastic bottle cap.
We have glass bottle, tire, fridge, TV, and other little dead debris like dead fish and so on this side.
This is totally unacceptable. We have a lot that we have to do. There's a responsibility of government as much as possible to provide the receptacles to put the garbage in, to do the campaigns. But there's also the element that each and every Jamaican has to sort of learn the social mores to ensure that we're going to keep the country in a way that we're protecting it for future generations.
No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
If we want Jamaica to become the place of choice to live, then we must be our brother's keeper. This holiday period, please look out for the elderly on the road. Here are a few pointers.
The roadways are meant for smooth and safe commute by all individuals. But statistics show that some categories of users are more prone to an unsafe passage. One of these categories is elderly persons, those over 60 years of age, perhaps as a consequence of their specific physical challenges.
As you grow older, over 65 and going up, you find that people are now prone to a lot of accidents because, number one, they have visual loss gradually, hearing loss. Now they also may become more forgetful. In other words, there is increased reaction time to whatever they are doing. So if they usually used to respond to a situation in a minute, they may do so in 3 minutes.
Persons 65 to 74 years, elderly drivers and pedestrians, men especially, are the most vulnerable within this advanced age group.
Some elderly drivers do not see well, and some are not able to discern colors. And so you will find elderly drivers going through red lights, thinking that it is on green, or perhaps it looks green to them. Then there are signs which will tell us when to turn right, when there's no right turn, and because it is not visible or too visible to the elderly, they will disobey those signs.
The predisposition of these vulnerable individuals to difficulties in the traffic environment dictates that some fundamental changes have to be made to accommodate them.
The National Works Agency is the main entity responsible for ensuring a traffic-friendly environment. That means ensuring that our roadways are outfitted with the proper signage and other amenities to facilitate smooth usage for all road users. But when it comes to the elderly, certain special considerations have to be made.
The factors that influence their functionality on the road, you're looking at the vision, sight, hearing, their mobility and familiarity. For a traffic-friendly environment, for the person itself now, sidewalks, pedestrian guardrails, pedestrian crossings, having ramps on the sidewalks themselves to provide ease of access, advanced features in sidewalks, or you might have tactile sidewalks now where the texture of the sidewalk is different from the regular sidewalk for the blind so that they can feel when they walk.
Guided by the regulations for accommodating vulnerable road users, the NWA makes provisions to include these persons in the design of traffic systems and road networks. Pedestrian crossings, sidewalks, bridges, walk signals at stoplights, and road signs and markings are some of the elements that have to be modified to help elderly persons properly function on the roads. One very practical example is the length of time given to walk across pedestrian crossings at stoplights.
You will have, say, 1 to 1.25 meters per second you calculate for an average person to get across the road, where there is deemed to be a high number of vulnerable road users. Children, elderly, the blind, the disabled. You reduce it to, say, 0.75 meters per second. So you do the calculation, and then you always have a safety factor that you put into it. Maybe 25% additional time provided to get pedestrians across.
Sometimes there is no need to deny the elderly and other vulnerable persons their independence on our roads. But you and I do have a responsibility to assess their performance and assist wherever possible.
If the elderly is having problem crossing at the junction or intersection, anybody who is around and who notices it should go and assist them. If they are even in wheelchair and they can't go up the sidewalk, one can help them with the rails. One should help them to read the signs, where the signs are complex. And those who get lost sometimes, like people with poor cognition, those people should be accompanied. They should really not be allowed to go out on their own.
Concerned individuals need to look out for warning signs of elders facing difficulties. And elders themselves need to pay attention and take action if they realize they're having problems.
They should be proactive about their own health and surroundings. What do I mean by being proactive? When you see that you get into an age like 60 or before, you can start looking into you or into your eyesight. Make sure you are seeing properly. Make sure that if you not see properly and glasses are prescribed for you, that you wear them when you are going on the road or when you are driving.
Being proactive also includes speaking with a doctor about possible side effects of medications being taken and how they may affect functionality, getting adequate sleep, having your hearing and other reflexes checked, and cutting down on driving if you feel uncomfortable doing so.
If you can avoid driving at night, do not drive at night. Get someone to drive you. If you are not comfortable driving in the city, again, get someone to drive you. Do not drive long distances if you think you're going to be tired. Get someone to do that for you. However, if you have to drive long distances, take for instance from Kingston to Montego Bay, make sure that you have some stops where you can get some rest.
Also, they should remember that they must follow all rules of the road, including wearing seatbelts and helmets.
So it is clear that there is a role for all of us in keeping our traffic environment safe for the elderly and indeed for all road users. Do your part in keeping road fatalities to a minimum.
A few words to keep you positive during this holiday. Keep your face to the sunshine and you cannot see a shadow. Words of author Helen Keller. For more information on the Tourism Linkages Hub or other issues featured on today's show, click on our webpage, jis.gov.jm. We're also on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, so log on and stay in the know. I'm Theodore Henry. Pleasant viewing.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.